So yes, PS5's here far, far longer. They've hit their goals and how many they need to sell. They're going to continue. This thing will continue to sell going forward. And then hopefully they'll start lowering the price. I think they eventually will at some point, even though they've already raised it. So kind of wild. But again, we talk about expanding out that ecosystem. People always conflate whether a game sells well on PlayStation and if everybody is playing it on PlayStation. The attachment rate for first party PlayStation games isn't an insane amount. And if the development costs continue to go up, you have to continue to try to reach more gamers. And Ghost of Yote, which I've already said multiple times on my channel, has sold well. We have confirmation here. 3.3 million copies in a month for Ghost of Yote. And I say this is very good because 3.3 million is a strong number in the amount of time this has been out. But secondary, Ghost of Yote, from what I've heard and understand, the development costs for this game are not astronomical like we have heard and seen from Spider-Man and other first-party PlayStation games. So 3.3 million, they're going to be happy with that, and that will continue to sell more. This isn't the end of the life cycle. However, 3.3 million sold with 84 million PlayStation 5s out there really gives you that picture of the attachment rate of first-party PlayStation games and why I've said this multiple times and people still for some reason fight me on this, but the majority of PlayStation gamers are not buying PS5s to play first-party exclusives. The majority of them are buying them to play the Black Hole games, the Fortnites, the Call of Duties, the Maddens, the FIFAs. That is what the majority of people on PlayStation are buying the console for. Ghost of Yote here is another example. With that being said, I think the sales did well. All of the campaigns against this game failed. It's been selling well. It will continue to sell well. I think it's going to be close to Ghost of Tsushima at the end of its life cycle. So that is, to me, a success here for Ghost of Yote and for PlayStation with the release of this game. In fact, we have this here saying Sony has reported that Ghost of Tsushima sold 2.4 million in its first 3 days and 5 million in 4 months. And then Ghost of Yote here has sold the 3.3 million in its first month of availability. So will it hit the 5 million in the 4 months? We'll see. However, of course, the PS5 has less units out there when this game did release, whereas with Ghost of Tsushima, there were more PS4s. So yeah, I do see this happening. And I do see this coming to PC, which will as well push the sales of this game higher. And I haven't played it, but I've talked to people who've played it. I've watched a lot of videos and the game looks phenomenal. Eventually we'll jump in here to Ghost of Yote and see what it is all about. Now, one of the big acquisitions PlayStation did this generation was Bungie. It's just, I think, been pretty bad since the start. And this is coming from somebody who was saying that this was a great acquisition. I thought Bungie is exactly what PlayStation needed to expand out their games as a service and multiplayer side of gaming. Clearly has not worked out in that form. I was wrong on that so far. But it also, now we have confirmation from the CFO that Destiny 2 hasn't even reached Sony's expectations for the Bungie acquisition, which is mind-boggling. He says here that Destiny 2 hasn't reached Sony's expectations for the acquisition. Lin Tao, again, this is coming straight from their CFO, straight out of her mouth. So it's not me saying this. And she says here, she expanded on the company's profit hit in its games and network services segment caused by intangible and other assets in connection with Destiny 2. She says, while we will continue to make improvements, we downwardly revised the business projection for the time being and recorded an impairment loss against a portion of the assets at Bungie, and says, although performance varies by title, our live service games overall accounted for more than 40% of our first-party software revenue, which is similar to the previous quarter and are a recurring source of revenue. So when you ask yourself, why has Sony greenlit so many games as a service games, live service games? Why do they cancel so many? And are they going to go back? The answer is yes. They are going to continue to try to make live service games as a service titles because of how much it does account for the revenue. And a lot of this does come from the stuff that Bungie is going to be putting out. And she also says here, and this is another big thing, when you see all of the people saying that the Xbox gamers don't buy games and that Helldivers 2 landing on Xbox didn't actually push the game to come back and have a big burst of more players jumping in at that time. Sony themselves even admit that Helldivers 2 landing on Xbox really helped the game out. She says this, Helldivers 2 which was also released for Xbox in August of this year, is doing extremely well, not only attracting new users on Xbox, but also seeing increased engagement from existing users on PS5 and PC. And I would bet it's because of that Halo DLC as to what happened there. This resulted in a significant increase in sales of the title year on year. So that tells me, sorry for the voice cracking there, as I said in my video yesterday, I'm still sick, but that tells me that yeah, we will be seeing more PlayStation games on Xbox. Multiplayer games as a service games are all going to be going on to Xbox. Of course, Bungie stuff is, Destiny 2 is, Marathon is, future Bungie games will. I wouldn't be shocked if other live service games that PlayStation does develop from other studios do land on Xbox as well. And they have data here now with Helldivers 2 showing that, yeah, this will help them make money, and they're going to do it. There's no reason why a company like Sony looks at their balance sheet and sees, wow, we've made this much more revenue. Things are going up because of this, that, and the other thing, and then not continue with that strategy. So I think we will be seeing that more and more going forward. Marathon will be that next big game for their live service and for their multiplayer side of things. And this will launch still by March 2026. They did confirm this. CFO Lin Tao again says that Bungie's Marathon was still in active development and that the company was fully dedicated to launching the game in the current fiscal year. Sony's fiscal year ends March 2026, suggesting that Marathon will likely launch sometime in February to March if we were to guess. And this is going to be one of the most interesting game releases to follow next year because of how good Arc Raiders is doing and how extraction shooters are taking off. And then, of course, the whole controversy surrounding Marathon with the stolen art assets, with the betas coming out and just not having big numbers. And a lot of people were not really that impressed with it. There's so much riding on this game for Bungie and for PlayStation that this game needs to do well. So it'll be super interesting to track.